Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, February 10th, 2016.
Commissioner Davis, Rodriguez, James, Repenning, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Dafera, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Michael Patney, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Hannah Choi, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did not receive any speaker cards under general public comment. No speaker cards under today's agenda. However, we did receive comment cards, comments received via email for item 13 that were submitted into the record.
Okay, well, that may change, but right now we have no speaker cards under general public comment, so we'll close general public comment. Our first item of business, the approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of Monday, January 25th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we approve those meeting minutes by Commissioner Rodriguez? Any objection? Without objection, we'll approve those meeting minutes. For anyone that has come in after we started, if you have an item that you would like to speak on, please do submit a speaker card to our executive officer who's sitting here at the end of the table. Agenda item number 1, the receipt of bids for Council Districts 8, 14, and 15 collection system pumping plant generator replacement projects, Manchester generator replacement, Dakota generator replacement, Harris Place generator replacement, Murdoch and I generator replacement, and 190th and Vermont generator replacement. Estimate $3,974,600. Mr. Campos.
Thank you, President James. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The bids to be received today is for the Collection Systems Pumping Plant Generator Replacement Project. The city has estimated this project to be at $3,974,600. This is in Council District 8, 14, and 15, as indicated by the President. The first bid received for this project is from California Building Evaluation and Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $3,297,314. That's $3,297,314 from California Building Evaluation and Construction Incorporated. For the record, item number 41 has been lined out but initialed by the contractor. The second bid received for this project is from Global Power Group Incorporated for a total bid amount of $3,630,500. That is $3,630,500 from Global Power Group Incorporated. The third bid received for this project is from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company for a total bid amount of $2,943,000 even. That's $2,943,000 from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company. For the record, line item 35 has been lined out by the contractor but initialed. The third bid received for this project is from Green Building Corporation for a total bid amount of $3,911,500. That is $3,911,500 from Green Building Corporation. The fifth bid received for this project is from AJ, my apologies for mispronouncing this, is it Fistes Corporation, that's Fistes, or FITS Corporation, for a total bid amount of $2,991,770. That is $2,991,770 from AJ Fitz Corporation, Fistes. The sixth and final bid received for this project is from Miron Electric Corporation, Construction Corporation. Again, that's Miron Electric Construction Corporation, for a total bid amount of $2,783,800. That is $2,783,800 from Miron Electric Construction Corporation. President James, that concludes the bid openings for this project.
Thank you. Is there a second to my motion that we receive the bids? By Commissioner Rodriguez, any objection? Without objection, the bids will be received. Thank you, everyone. Agenda items 3 through 11 are assessment hearings for Council Districts 14, 6, 7, 5, and 13 at various locations. Mr. Flamenco?
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 3 to 11 pertain to lighting districts which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Ballots for items 3 to 11 were mailed on December 30th, 2015. Ballots for items 3 to 11 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, February 17th. We have not received any objections to date on items 3 to 11. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 3 to 11 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions regarding agenda items 3 through 11 on those in which you receive no objections? Commissioner Rodriguez has made a motion to approve. I'll second. Is there any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt 3 through 11. Any problem sending 3 through 11 forthwith? We'll send numbers 3 through 11 forthwith. Agenda item number 2, we have certificates of recognition for student interns that have spent time interning at the Office of Community Beautification. I'm going to let Paul Roch come up and appropriately and correctly pronounce their names rather than make a mistake on my end. Paul?
Good morning, Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. And as I think most commissioners are aware, we've had several interns over the past few years helping out in our office, and they come from Kiel University in Germany, and they are students in public administration, and so they are getting a opportunity to come to the United States and learn about local government issues, and working with the particular office. And this time in the Office of Community Beautification, we've been lucky enough since November to have Svenja as our office intern. She has been a great help to us in the office, answering the phones, sitting sort of at the front desk, so when people come into the office, she's the first face that they get to see, and she helps them out in a lot of cases with OCB issues, but in a lot of cases, people come into our office just because we're there on the third floor and they're not quite sure where they're going, and she's able to help them either get across the hall to the board or find the mayor's office or wherever it is that they are going. She's been able to go with OCB staff when we go into court to testify in graffiti restitution cases and learn a bit about that. Work on some of the weekend volunteer cleanups and get to meet the various communities throughout Los Angeles, go out with staff and monitor some of the graffiti abatement contractors in the area, and just in general get to learn a lot about the city of Los Angeles, both inside and outside. I know this past weekend they were actually even able to go spend the weekend with Terry Schmidt down in Orange County and try surfing for the first time. So on behalf of the City of LA, the Board of Public Works, and the Office of Community Beautification, it's definitely my my privilege to present Svenja with this certificate of appreciation on behalf of the city. Thank you. So, give you that. Have anything you would like to address to the board?
If you'd like to share anything with us, we'd love to hear from you, Svenja.
Yes, it was really nice here at the city of LA, and I had a wonderful time here, and I met very nice and friendly people, and I'm glad to had such a nice internship, an interesting internship here in LA. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for spending your time here. We hope that you learned a great deal and enjoyed your experience in municipal government. It's the best form of government in the United States.
I know.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Colleagues, anything else? I think, do we have somebody else today? Okay. Thank you.
Good morning,
Morning.
Commissioner, President Commissioner, and members of the board, rest of the commissioners. Elizabeth Howdigi with City Plants. This morning, just want to say thank you for the board allowing us City Plants to be able to host one of the German interns. It's our utmost privilege to work with these young ladies. I want to say thank you for traveling for so far to spend a few months with us in our adventure here at City Plants. Jasmine came in a very interesting moment in our program where we're really busy. We're going into the spring, and she's been truly valuable. And I just want to say your gracious and sweet presence couldn't have helped us more. And I want to say thank you for taking all the interesting tasks we gave you. You graciously did it. And so we're so thankful for this program and for this internship. And I just want to say thank you this morning. We wish you well. We know you're going to be very successful at everything you do. We believe in you, and we know that great things are yet to come for you. Again, thank you very much, and best wishes on behalf of the board and on behalf of City Plants. We congratulate you, and we present you with the certificate of appreciation. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I got to know more about American administration and about city plans. I met such nice and friendly people here, and I just want to say thank you for the wonderful time here.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge both the interns. As someone who started off her career in 1994 as an intern, I can tell you that the lessons that you learn are transformative. It's really been a big influence throughout my career in terms of being on the ground floor of learning how things work here in Los Angeles, particularly at City Hall. There's something about having kind of being nimble as an intern and being able to traverse through a number of different environments, and I think it's a great exposure for a lot of young people, and I, for one, really like to see more and more, and so I'm happy that we're able to afford this opportunity to an international group. But I also want to take a moment, Mr. President, to acknowledge the mentorship that is provided in these opportunities by our incredible staff. You guys are the ambassadors for what we do best. And, I was really happy to see Sal in the audience today, because Sal is, stand up, Sal. Everyone needs to acknowledge Sal. Sal is our guy at the warehouse at OCB. And I wanted to take a moment, don't you sit down. I want to take a moment to thank you and all the OCB staff. You are the unsung heroes, and many people throughout our communities, throughout Los Angeles, know you because you're the person that they connect with to have the tools delivered for cleanups. You're so responsive, all the OCB staff. But Sal is always out in our warehouse, and right now he's stuck against a bunch of rain barrels. But I want to thank you for your tireless commitment to serve our communities throughout the city. It means a great deal to me. It means a great deal to the residents of Los Angeles. And I want to say that I, for one, truly appreciate you, as well as I know this board does. And I want to thank you all for the work that you do, for being the ambassadors for what this city can do, for being just always mindful of customer service. You're always so pleasant to engage with, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for your service, and thank you for your mentorship, all of you for your mentorship and leadership to all of these interns that have come in and out of the halls. So as a former intern, I want to say thank you to you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. And Sal, thank you, sir, as well as to the interns. We would like to take just a quick break from the agenda. We want the interns, when they leave with their certificates, to also have a cool photo here with Terry Schmidt as well, who runs our internship program, this internship program with the Board of Public Works. So we'll take just one moment for that. Thank you, everyone. Going back on our agenda, agenda item number 12, Bureau of Engineering recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a task for solicitation number 52 to AECOM Technical Services Incorporated to provide project management, construction management, design and process engineering support services for various projects with a budget authority of $4 million, which includes contingency. Mike Cirillo.
Good morning. Mike Cirillo with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. EED, the division that I manage, uses consultants to support our program. We deliver the capital program for the wastewater treatment plants, the 4 treatment plants. We do all the design, project management, and construction management for those plants. And consultants are an integral part of our success because we're able to ramp up quickly and downsize quickly when workloads increase and decrease. And it also provides us an opportunity to bring in the expertise that we normally don't have, such as process engineering, scheduling, estimating, things that city staff typically don't do. So we currently have some existing task orders in place right now with Parsons and HDR that provide those services. There's about 1.5 years left to go in time on those contracts, but there's not enough funding to complete the next 1.5 years. So rather than increase those task orders, we decided to issue a brand new task order and give all 21 firms an opportunity to propose on this task order 52. We received 8 proposals in response to the task order and evaluated the proposals based on qualifications and price. And there was a staff of Bureau of Engineering staff evaluated those proposals, and AECOM was the top-ranked proposal based on qualifications and cost. They actually were quite a bit lower in cost due to their reduced overhead rates compared to some of the other firms, and the fact that they utilized quite a bit of sub-consultants that brought the overall cost of the proposal down, and they provided the more than adequate resources that we were looking for. This TOS will fund us until we can get a new on-call list in place, which is in the process of being established right now for the next 5-year period. In which case, once these funds are exhausted, we will issue brand new task orders again for the next 5-year period and give all firms another opportunity to propose on the upcoming work we have over the next 5 years.
What's the timeline on that, Mike?
I am briefing Commissioner Jacinto today on the issuance of the request for qualifications for the next on-call list. So I expect to issue the RFQ sometime in March, and maybe have it in place maybe by, I would say, summer, late summer-ish, depending on how quickly it moves.
Okay.
That will give us plenty of time to get new task orders out and get new firms in place for the next 5 years. Essentially, we're recommending an award of this task order to AECOM for the amount not to exceed $4 million, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions, Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Mike, thanks for your report. This will take us into the end of 17, fiscal year 17?
The contracts, the existing contracts, including this one, expire mid-2017.
Okay.
I think, yeah, definitely time-wise will take us there. Money-wise, probably closer towards the end of the year, maybe. Maybe into early 17, depending on how many resources we need to bring on to deliver our program. But by then, I should have the new on-call list in place, and at any point, once we issue new task orders, we have the ability to stop using this task order and just use the new ones, and we have some flexibility at that point, because we'll basically have two active on-call lists for a short period, that short overlapping period.
Okay. Mike, I'll also comment, the numbers of MeeBee-Weebee look pretty good at this time in terms of, their commitment. So I appreciate that as well.
Anything further on agenda item number 12? Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I wanted to also acknowledge the MeeBee-Weebee numbers. I think they're great. But, stated goals is one thing, and executing them are another. And I just want to reaffirm how important it is to us as a board to really see the participation levels actually materialize. It's one thing to really talk about it, it's another thing to actually do it. And so actions speak louder than words. I just want to ensure that that message is clear, and I appreciate the effort to even reflect that in this effort.
We understand how critical that is, and we hear you loud and clear, and we will make sure we deliver those numbers at a minimum.
Thank you, Mike. Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12. I'll second it along with Commissioner Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Cirillo. Agenda item number 13, Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Street Services for Council District number 4. Recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revocable permit to encroach into the public right-of-way with the following existing encroachments: a portion of a habitable structure, a portion of a garage, 6 wooden decks, asphalt paving, 2 concrete slabs, a portion of wood revetment fence, 2 retaining walls, concrete stairs, and 2 wooden sheds located at 15243 Delgado Drive. We have 2 cards in opposition. Is the applicant here at all as well? The Bureau, Bert Mucklebus. Bert, come on up, and why don't you lay the foundation, provide a summary of what is being asked of the board by the applicant, what conditions have been placed by the Bureau, and then we will hear from the opponents as well.
Good morning, Commissioners.
You might work that microphone a little closer to you.
Closer? Okay.
We make a record here.
My name is Bert Mokelbust. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering in the Valley District Office. The item before you is a request for revocable permission at 15243 Delgado Drive. This is a hillside property in the Sherman Oaks area of the city. The lot in question spans between Delgado Drive to the east and an unimproved alley to the west, which is at a lower elevation than Delgado Drive. The applicant, Sandra Lamar, is requesting a permit to retain the following existing encroachments in the alley, which is, as mentioned, a portion of the habitable structure, a portion of a garage, and numerous decks, retaining walls, and other landscape, hardscape features. Bureau of Engineering recommends the board approve the request to keep the existing improvements based upon the following highlighted conditions, which are amongst the others that are specified in the report. First, all existing improvements that are either attached to the existing single-family dwelling or straddle the property line be required to have the appropriate approval from Building and Safety. No parking or storing of vehicles will be allowed as part of this revocable permit. A permanent fence or wall should be erected, and no ingress or egress, pedestrian or otherwise, be allowed to the property from the terminus of the public paved alley to the north of the property. A final survey of all improvements that wish to remain be provided. No vehicles servicing, visiting, or accessing the property be allowed to park in the alley in front of the neighbor at 15237 Delgado Drive, and all conditions must be satisfied within 180 days of adoption of this recommendation. A brief background, a revocable permit was issued in 1985 for 3 decks in the alley. No sketch or permit was provided. A revocable permit was issued in 1996 for a wall in the alley. Again, there was no sketch included with the permit. Over the years, various improvements have appeared in the alley, have been constructed there without BOE consent or permit. There's a contentious relationship between the applicant, Sandra Lamar, and the neighbor to the north, Mr. Velasquez, and that has existed for some time. The primary issue of contention appears to be the blocking of the alley by vehicles associated with Ms. Lamar's property.
And does the condition that you just mentioned regarding no parking, if that condition is met, does that solve the problem of her employees of sort parking in that area?
What we're trying to do as part of the condition of this revocable permit is, one, block any type of access through this alley. So you would not get vehicular access, pedestrians wouldn't have the right to climb a fence or anything like that. So yes, the goal is that no access to the property be provided, either vehicular or pedestrian. They can use the existing alley that would actually serve as her driveway to service that property, and there is parking available on Saugus for these service vehicles.
So they wouldn't even be able to access the property from that back alley portion, so there would be no reason for service trucks to park there?
No, there would be no reason for anyone to park there.
That would solve the problem of the blocking of the neighbor's driveway?
That would resolve the problem as far as what Bureau of Engineering can control with respect to that. Okay. So, yes.
Regarding the, would you describe for us what this alleyway consists of, what it is? Is it an improved alleyway? Is it a hillside slope? Are we going to lose, for example, access for emergency vehicles, things like that?
This portion of the alley is an unimproved alley. Okay, in the report there, many of the lots are served by the improved portion of the alley, which is 10 feet wide. The alley right-of-way is 20 feet. The part that is improved, which is not adjacent to this property, is actually grade separated. So the paved part is 10 feet wide, and then you have maybe a 4 or 5 foot drop, and then you have another 10 feet of public right-of-way that is basically other neighbors' backyards.
So it's not passable by a car?
No, it would not be passable. This particular area adjacent to Ms. Lamar's property is not improved for any type of vehicular or public access at all. It basically behaves like two people's backyards.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And although Mr. Velasquez has stated that he would like to be able to walk through the unimproved alley, there is no developed pathway through the area. The area is rustic in nature and does not provide for a stable footing and is not illuminated. The owner has received various citations, violations from both Department of Public Works, Street Use Enforcement, and the Department of Building Safety. Our Bureau has attended numerous meetings at the site and at our public counter to discuss the area in question. The restriction, both physical and otherwise, of access to the property through the portion of the alley subject to this request should remove the impact to the neighboring property. Okay. And Councilmember Ryu's staff members have been informed and are currently reviewing the request. And as I mentioned before, one of the conditions that all these conditions be satisfied within 180 days of this recommendation.
From the Bureau's perspective, Bert, is this, the placing of these conditions, is that the Bureau's attempt to, one, finally solve what has been a back and forth between, for years it sounds like, between this property owner and the city on various improvements that have not been previously permitted, to finally put some conditions in place that are enforceable and have teeth that may satisfy the neighbors?
Yes, it is. Historically, we have issued revocable permits that were rather vague in scope and vague in character and drawing sketches. This particular proposal will identify all the improvements that wish to be retained there. It would set a benchmark that going forward, all these improvements are allowed under the revocable permit. We've addressed the ingress-egress challenge, which appears to be the issue of contention between the neighbors. It also will allow us that going forward, if we do an inspection on a regular basis, we'll have a sketch and approval to say these improvements have been allowed to remain. Anything different requires our consent and approval. If they do not want to follow the requirements, this permit can be revoked and all the improvements can be removed.
What in response of someone who would say that this property owner just, over the years, seems to keep encroaching on the public right-of-way and taking little by little of the public right-of-way?
Well, I agree with you. This particular section of right-of-way is unimproved. It, for all intents and purposes, looks like two property owners' backyards. It does not serve a real function right now. They have encroached. One option that Ms. Lemaire has would possibly be apply for a vacation and see whether or not the city would consider removing the right-of-way easement. The other is we have at least set a benchmark where we can say these are the improvements as of this date that we know are allowed there. Anything going forward, I have a document to say you've changed without my consent. We can request your improvements be removed. Prior to that, everything has kind of been in flux, so I would not be able to justify removing something that I do not know how long it's been there or how it appeared.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thanks, President James. Bert, thanks for your report. I want to comment again about the ingress-egress. What remedy does opposer have if there's non-compliance on behalf of the applicant? How can we ensure that they will get access to their property?
When you specify ingress-egress, are you talking about Mr. Velasquez?
Yes.
Okay. His property abuts the alley in question and the property in question. By putting up a block wall or a fence, for a person to get physical access to that property through the alley, they're going to have to jump the fence. We're not going to allow any type of gate. We're also not going to allow any type of vehicles to be stored in that particular area.
But you're not blocking off Mr. Velasquez's access?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So then if someone has to go and the ingress-egress is more pedestrian rather than a vehicle, correct?
There would be no ingress-egress to Ms. Lemaire's property. She has vehicular access through an alley to Saugus, and her property also fronts on Delgado. Okay. So the need for anyone to get access to the backyard to serve her property, there's no need to come through this particular section of alley, either be it a pedestrian or be it vehicle.
Very good, thank you.
Any further questions of the Bureau before we hear from Mr. Velasquez? Thank you, Bert. Don't go too far.
Okay.
Let's start with Richard Velasquez. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me speak here today. That's very nice. This has been a real problem for me. I've lived in the house since 1994, and from that day, I've had problems with my neighbor allowing me to park in my own driveway and allowing me to get in and out of it, because she basically told me that she'd lived there she was the longest person living on that block, and that she deserved whatever she wanted. So she had this attitude that she could just do whatever she wanted, and that's basically what she did. She parked cars up on, first of all, while I was out on vacation one year, she knocked down the little retaining wall that was on my property. It was a 3-foot retaining wall that it was a retaining wall that separated the yards, basically, or separated the properties. But she went ahead and knocked part of it out so she could put up a slab on her property. And she did an asphalt thing on the edge where she broke all the crumbled cinders, and she put a ramp up so that she could park cars up there. Well, she not only did that, but she would park a car behind that car, and that would make it impossible for me to get out of my driveway because it's a 3-point turn. It's the last driveway at the end of this alleyway. So the only way to get out is doing a 3-point turn. She would park her cars in there on my property in that slab. She parked tandem cars, 2 cars. And she just didn't care about my she was just a really disrespectful neighbor, and I just didn't know what to do. So I went and applied for a revocable permit to put up this wall, and that's when the real problems happened with her. She just gave me such a bad time. It was really impossible. But I worked really hard for my house. I'm born and raised here in Los Angeles, and I've worked very hard, and I felt I wasn't getting justice out of living there. I mean, I never really fully enjoyed my home because of her. So I felt I had to do something about it.
So, sir, I read the email correspondence that you'd sent, and my own perception from what I read of what relates, I know that there were some issues about various lawsuits between the two of you, but the crux from my reading, and I think the Bureau of Engineering, in my conversations with them, agree, the primary objection to what is being proposed today is, or the primary objection to what exists today is the cars that are, or the service trucks, service personnel that are parking and blocking your driveway. I mean, by the time you call DOT, they move and you can't get them towed.
Well, just the very fact that she tore down my retaining wall and built a ramp so she could she built a slab on her property right adjacent to that block wall.
But does the condition that is put on this on the proposed item today of walling off the access to her property so that none of the service vehicles can access, and thus the precluding of the parking of those service vehicles at all near your property, does that solve the problem for you?
Yes, it does, because she has her own driveway off of Saugus that is big and wide. She can pull all the cars up she wants, and trucks and all that. Plus, she has entrance from the top street. The property is kind of unique, where there's the entrance, the walk-on entrances are on the top on Delgado, and the drive-on entrances are off Saugus and Valley Vista Boulevard. So they have a drive-on entrance as well as and she has two entrances to her property.
Okay, so that is satisfactory to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that she doesn't need to come up my property for anything.
Okay. Any further questions from Mr. Velasquez before I call Ms. Velasquez?
No, I
Thank
just
you,
want
sir.
everybody to understand the logistics of how the driveway is, because it's kind of complicated. I have some pictures here and some diagrams that I can pass out. My artwork isn't very good.
And would your wife, Ms. Velasquez, do you want to speak? Do you want to add anything to what your husband has said? You have a speaker card, so you're entitled
He has
to
good
if you would like to.
pictures.
I want to thank the board for listening to us on this because it's taken us 12 years to get here. And thank you, Bert and Christy, for giving us the respect and dignity in listening to our challenges. I first wanted to pass out, there's a petition from every single neighbor in the alley about the parking situation in which Sandy Lemire, the owner of 14253, has taken advantage of. I just wanted to show you. Oh, great, thank you. Okay, I will, sorry. No, not that yet, not yet. We're just so excited, 'cause it's 12 years to get here, Mr. President. This is the kind of service people that she has blocking our driveway, so we can't get out. Here's another picture of her using the public access alley as her personal carport. So all of these cars here, I have not parked. I've lived at the house with my husband for 7 years, and I've probably only parked here maybe 7 times out of the 7 years because of the aggressiveness of our neighbor. She'll come into our driveway and yell and scream. So to avoid that, I have parked on top of our property, the entrance. Here she is, right here, using it as a personal property. Here she is here with another gentleman using it as personal property. She also wanted to erect her own fence, and that's what her tenant said. And then she took it down. And this is her ramp that we were talking about. This is the alley. She has made her own ramp for her own personal carport. And she will always tell us, do not park here. If our bicycle is here, our bicycle got stolen, but she said this is her domain. And this is where if you could see this is where she built her own ramp so that she can have easy access for her vehicles and her construction crew or service people. I just wanted to show you one more storyboard, because I think visually you'll be able to get a sense. This is also how she parks. This is just last year, and we've been doing this for 12 years, my husband has, or since he's bought the house. So these are the cars again, how she parks so that we cannot get out. This is her service truck, so we cannot get out to go down the alley. We cannot get out of our driveway. This is the alley that goes to where she is right here. This is a picture. So it's a tight squeeze. So when she has cars parked here, we cannot get out. And she will be spiteful and just park right here, or her car here, so that we can't get access out of our driveway. Also, I wanted to say that she has ample room in her front of her house to park. Right here, this is the front of her house. But when she does park, she does take an illegal advantage of parking her car the wrong way. This is where all the other cars are faced here. She parks this way. Same here. She parks this way. Same here. She parks the opposite way, the illegal way of parking in front of her own home, in front of the house.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And again, thank you, everyone. Okay. This is a celebration of you all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So, Commissioner Center, you have I think we all had the same confirming question that go ahead, that
Right.
I
The
asked your
affirmation
husband a minute
that
ago.
through the conditions set forth to the applicant, that most of those tough issues for you and your resident neighbors would be resolved.
Yes, if there was a wall.
Okay. And what you're sharing with us is really the angst and the frustration that you've experienced for a number of years.
Yes, we cannot use our driveway. I cannot.
But moving forward, what our Bureau has suggested is the recommendation, acceptance of this applicant with conditions that are going to be monitored, so that if there's non-compliance, then we can come back and our staff can come back, and as a board that we could further ensure that you all could live together as peacefully as possible.
I have a question. Because she's not supposed to, she has a letter from the
We don't answer questions.
saying that she's not supposed to park there, and that was just last year, the end of last year. And she continues to do it. She continues to ignore
So,
it.
ma'am, what we're doing here is we're putting in place a condition that in exchange for this revocable use permit, is it a wall, Mr. Burt?
We're looking for either a wall or a solid fence, something that we're probably going to figure around 6 feet high, treat it like a backyard. So there is any possible visual concept that you actually can get across there physically. It becomes.
And once it's 180 days, once that's in place, we inspect it before the permit goes.
Right.
Okay. And then if that condition is followed, problem solved. If not, permit denied, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Condition of the issuance of the revocable permit is satisfying all the conditions.
Right.
A condition of keeping the revocable permit is to continue to satisfy all those conditions.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you, ma'am. So I would make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 13, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 13 forthwith. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Thank you. Agenda item number 14, Bureau of Street Services for Council District 6. Requested tree removal at 13347 West Chase Street, recommending that the board find, number 1, that the tree removal classifies as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing and does not involve the removal of a scenic resource. 2, that the action is exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3, Existing Facilities, Sidewalk Repair and Maintenance of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act, and 3, that none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of the state CEQA guidelines apply, and 4, approve the request for a no-fee permit to remove 4 Aleppo pine trees for reconstruction of an off-grade sidewalk located at 13347 West Chase Street. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, Executive Officer, and the City Attorney. Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative has a sidewalk repair program that is operating in CD6 at this time. We have received many, many requests for trees to be looked at, inspected for possible removal, possible retention. Unfortunately, these 4 trees are planted in a 5-foot parkway, which we would not allow these species of trees to be planted in this size of parkway today. They were planted maybe 70 years ago is my estimation. And the base of the tree, if you look at the photos, is right against the sidewalk. And just like on White Oak Avenue, where we had to remove a couple of Aleppo pine trees that were in the center medium that were right next to the street where we had to resurface the street, same idea with replacing the sidewalk. Pine trees cannot sustain root pruning. They will topple over, and this is root pruning right up against the buttress of the tree, which means you would be severing the buttress anchor roots of the tree. So therefore, it's requested that these trees be permitted forthwith for removal by the board, and unfortunately, due to our tree planting guidelines today, there isn't the kind of space that you would think in this parkway due to water meters, a street light, and the different driveway aprons. And the only room is to replant 1 small crepe myrtle tree so that the sidewalk will last a good long time. I would say 30 years or longer. It'll never cause a problem with the sidewalk. And Linda Leviton, Senior Field Deputy, 6th Council District, was informed of this on January 13th. The trees were posted. We have received no objections for these 4 trees to be removed. And the applicant will water the tree for a period of 5 years and ensure its survivability. Everyone was contacted, including CFAC and the Council District Office, and we received no objections.
Thank you, Tim. Commissioner Penning.
Hi, Tim. I am not particularly comfortable with the replacement plan on this. This is a city-funded removal.
Yes.
And I think that we need to hold ourselves to a little bit of a higher standard than this when it comes. I hear what you're saying about the presence of utilities and things that make it not possible to put more than 1 back, but these are big, very much shade-providing trees in one of the hotter parts of our city. And I think, I don't like this as a precedent for what we're doing with our sidewalk repair program. I think that if it doesn't fit there, then can we find somewhere else in the neighborhood and really try to do better on this one?
We can change the crepe myrtle to a larger species growing tree that would provide shade, and we can look in the area for other places to plant the trees, but are we going to, Lanny will water those trees in other positions?
You know, I think maybe what we could do, I mean, I'm happy personally to pitch in on this one and talk to city plants and see if there's just some little micro solution for this one that would.
Yeah, this one is one where there's just no avoiding removing the trees, and we've been doing everything we can. We've actually, the width of the sidewalk in some locations, we've had them actually make it smaller so we can save trees and this kind of thing. But I think that we could plant a larger growing tree in here. And we can look for the other three. There's more than that. There would be 8 trees. So we'd have to look for 7 additional spots.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get the 7, great. Or if, I mean, a lot of times we
Couple more.
As close to the 2 to 1 as possible, right? I mean,
We'll do,
that's
Commissioner.
always our goal.
I'll have inspectors go out and we'll find more additional locations, and I'll work with you and City Plants and see if we can have them water the trees.
Okay, I'll try to see how we can help with funding or whatever's needed.
I'm absolutely here to make all these things happen.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Yeah, let's take Commissioner Penning up, Tim, on her offer on these CD6 trees. Recognizing that these need to come out, the Aleppo pine trees, as beautiful as they are, when they get to a certain size, they have the arc of life, as Ron Lorenzen would always come and explain to us. And I'm always nervous when I see the condition of some of these Aleppo pines that I've seen in other districts. That was the species of tree that fell in Pasadena near the Rose Bowl that killed that kid.
They're very shallow rooted. The root plate is not real large, and they actually will come down with just too much rain and wind.
And so my concern is on the arc of life on these particular trees. I'm not an arborist. Where are they in their arc of life?
We would call them over mature.
Okay. So then I would work with Commissioner Penning on the replacement program. And I also think that when we have an entity, a third-party entity like the Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative that we're working with, we really ought to partner with them to get to our tree replacement policy and not just get close to it, but we're going to have this with the sidewalk repair plan, as Commissioner Penning mentioned. This is going to come up over and over again. It needs to be a replacement, a removal and replacement policy, not just a removal policy. And there are, in parts of the city that are not as canopy rich as other parts of the city, there are locations just a little bit of extra emphasis with a third-party entity like this. I can't imagine we're not going to have their cooperation.
Well, now understanding that Lanny should replace all the trees, that's exactly what will happen henceforth.
Okay. Great. Thank you. With that, I'll make a motion on agenda item number 14. Is there a second, Commissioner Cento? Thank you. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 14. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number, they can wait. We'll send number 14 forthwith. Agenda item number 15. The Tree Removal Bureau of Street Services, Council District 5, 9911 West Pico Boulevard, recommending the board find that the tree removal classifies as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond previously existing and does not involve the removal of a scenic resource, that the action is exempt under the appropriate CEQA guidelines as well as the Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act from 2002, that none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption exist, and approve the request for a no-fee permit to remove 8 Indian laurel fig trees, those are ficus, for reconstruction of an off-grade sidewalk located at 9911 West Pico Boulevard. Tree replacements are required. Tim, is this that one over near Century City?
I'm not sure if it's right in Century City. I wasn't looking at the city, but we did have some requests for notification on this.
Doctor's office building there. Yeah, go ahead.
And I spoke with one of the ladies, and I explained to her about the size of the trees being very mature and the same idea. In order to root prune these trees, it would cause serious damage to the tree and put them in a state of danger where they could fall over. But I'll go back and start. We were approached, this board was approached back in 2013 and approved a permit for these trees to be removed back in August of 2013, or I'm sorry, September of 2013. And the 8 laurel fig trees were permitted for removal. However, they did not act upon the permit as they were working on getting lane closures, permits, and things like that. And so 2 years later, they contacted the Bureau and wanted to remove the trees, and we said, absolutely not. You'll have to go back to board as extensions aren't permitted. And so here we are today talking about the same location. It was re-inspected on July 2nd. The inspection revealed the 8 fair condition laurel fig trees on Pico Boulevard. They're growing in 4-by-4 foot wells in a 14-foot monolithic concrete sidewalk. In order to root prune these trees, you would have to root prune on 3 sides, and as far as expanding the well to 4-by-6 or 4-by-8, then decreasing the size of the sidewalk, we can't go down below a certain size and still remain ADA compliant. So even with the expansion of the well, we would be cutting 2 larger roots in order for the trees to remain.
Do you still have, did you get any communication from the neighborhood council on this?
I received no communication that I'm aware of from the neighborhood. I'm sorry, the neighborhood council did. That's the lady that I spoke to.
And they want these taken out?
They don't want them removed.
Oh, because then there's somebody else from the neighborhood council that I heard from. This is apparently near a doctor's office.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a doctor
well, this
office.
it's a commercial building.
Sure.
And there are doctor's offices in there, and the sidewalks are,
yes,
they're not even buckled. They're lifted up into planks.
Right.
And so there's
serious uplifts.
And so they've been on us for a while regarding these and providing some sort of solution.
Yeah, like I had stated earlier, this started back in 2013 where they came to the board and it was approved for them to do the work. The permit is actually in the package that was issued then, but they did not act upon it, and they were trying to get lane closures. They're large trees. They have to have room to do the work, and they were not able to get that in time.
Are we okay with the replacement process for this site?
I mean, this is not a development. It's not Lonnie. It's just like the property owners.
No, it's the property owners.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm fine with the replants on these. These are evergreen fern pines. They'll look beautiful. They'll grow large, but they won't have the size of the trunk of the tree at the base where it expands so widely that it'll crack everything up so soon.
I'll make a motion on number. Any further questions? I'll make a motion on number 15, seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 15. Any problem sending it back forthwith? Send number 15 back forthwith. Agenda item number 16, tree removal, various addresses 9900 through 9966 Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Recommending the board find that there's justification for project exemption. Project falls under Class 1, Section 15301 exemption of CEQA. The project involves the minor alteration of existing streets into green streets. There will be negligible expansion of use or capacity than existing at the time of the project. The activity will not involve the removal of a scenic resource to include but not limited to a stand of trees, rock outcropping, or an historic building. None of the limitations in state CEQA guidelines apply, and approve the request to remove 6 coast live oak trees, 1 carrotwood tree for construction of a series of vegetated infiltration swells and dry wells along Laurel Canyon Boulevard by the Green Streets project. Tree replacements are required. Regarding this one, Tim, because we've got coast live oaks, our friends in the lawyer world that work with us on these tree items support this project. They don't object to this tree removal, but they did point out that for the coast live oak, and we don't have Mr. Jordan here, but that we generally work with on some of these items, Lori, but with a protected tree, there are a couple of special CEQA findings that we normally put in the board reports now missing from the board report, although he knows the analysis was done, so there's no objection, just going forward. With that, go ahead.
As
wanna
far
make
as
that
the
record.
4
Go
oak
ahead.
trees that are planted trees, in order for a tree to be a protected tree, it has to be naturally occurring. These trees were planted, they were brought from a nursery, and so I would like to read something and set this at board. These are not protected. The only protection they have is they're a city street tree, and it takes a permit for anyone to do anything to them. That's why we're here today, to get a hopefully approved removal. Under Section 4601, protected tree means of the following Southern California native tree species which measure 4 inches or more in cumulative diameter, 4.5 feet above the ground level at the base of the tree, which is we call diameter at chest height. A, oak tree, including valley oak, Quercus lobata, and California live oak, Quercus agrifolia, or any other tree of the oak genus indigenous to California, but excluding the scrub oak, Quercus dumosa. B, Southern California black walnut, Juglans californica variety, Californica, Western sycamore, Platanus racemosa, and the California bay Umbrellaria californica. This definition shall not include any tree grown or held for sale by a licensed nursery or trees planted or grown as part of a tree planting program. These trees were planted by the city years ago, therefore they don't fall under Ordinance 177404 as a protected tree. They are protected and do require a permit to remove or trim as they are in the city right-of-way. All trees in the city right-of-way require that. Moving forward, this is a Green Street project. Green Street project is a partnership between Los Angeles Sanitation and the Los Angeles Department of Water Power, funded by the State Water Resources Control Board and adopted by the City Council on July 16, 2013. The project will construct a series of vegetated infiltration swells and dry wells along Laurel Canyon Boulevard, which necessitates the removal of the existing parkway trees. Gordon Haynes, project manager, environmental specialist with LASAN, Los Angeles Sanitation Watershed Protection Division, contacted the Bureau requesting the inspection to determine the relationship between the proposed construction and the street trees. LASAN is a self-permitting public works agency, is the owner of the project, and will maintain the stormwater improvements after construction. An A or B permit is not required of the public works agency working in the public right-of-way. All elements and material will be inspected by contract administration and their contracted construction manager to ensure the compliance with the city standards. On August 12th, the Bureau Arborist inspected the location, determined there were the 6 coast live oaks, 3 crepe myrtles, and 1 carrot wood tree that would need to be removed in order for the project to be completed. At this point in time, we have 16 trees for replant, and Mr. Nakato is here instead of Mr. Haynes, and there are an additional 10 to 12 sites they've found that they're still working on getting 4 of those to sign on board with the 4 other trees to be planted right in the same general vicinity. That will happen. Once that happens, I will bring those back to board, and we didn't want to hold this up. They're canvassing the neighborhood. They've been working very hard at it, and they found 16 locations, and they have 12 other locations which are possibilities, but they've not been able to catch the homeowner there or get the signed receipt back that they would allow a tree to be planted. We only have 4 more to go. These are very difficult things to do sometimes, and yet, just like the one we talked about before, knowing that going in it now, they will have to find them in the future, and this is what we will do. So if the board is fine with what we have here right now, and the fact that Mr. Nakato is here to confirm what I've just stated, if you would like him to speak on the planting sites.
Thank you. Anything from Tim, Commissioner Penny?
Just quickly want to say that this is a much better example of the city kind of walking the walk on our tree replacement policy. I really appreciate it, and overall, this is a really great project. If folks aren't aware of it, we're actually going to end flooding in this part of this neighborhood that's had to deal with it, actually capture the water, put it into our groundwater basin, and build a new sidewalk and some bioswales. So it's a really nice project. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Is there Commissioner Mr. Campos?
President James, something that your board may want to consider, as stated by Tim Tyson from the Bureau of Street Services, the condition that the report before you has the condition of the 16 trees to be planted at specific sites. However, the additional 4 trees can be planted in a site to be determined in the general vicinity. However, it's not noted in the condition, so my recommendation to the board to consider is to approve the report as amended, including that subject to the 4 additional trees to be planted in a site to be determined in the general vicinity as part of the conditions. Therefore, administratively, the Bureau of Street Services would not have to come back, but it's part of the conditions already that your board is considering, something that your board may want to consider.
Okay, I think that's a note well taken. So that would be my motion as amended, as described by Mr. Campos. Is there a second? By Commissioners Repenning and Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 16 as amended, and we can send it forthwith. We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 17, Office of Accounting and Bureau of Sanitation, requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $26,000 to pay our California Association of Sanitation Agencies for our annual membership dues. Cecile.
Good morning. My name is Cecile Buncio, and I work for the Bureau of Sanitation with the Regulatory Affairs Division. I'm here today to request for the approval of our annual membership fee with the California Association of Sanitation Agencies, or CASA for short, for $26,000. CASA is the lead voice for public wastewater agencies here in California when it comes to regulatory and legislative matters affecting air quality, water quality, and biosolids. It is essential that we maintain our membership for several reasons. One of them is it allows us the opportunity to network with other wastewater agencies and share information on issues affecting our operations. It also provides educational seminars that are regulatory and technical in nature that help staff keep abreast of the latest information and technology available to us. And we are very actively participants in the organization. Our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Tracy Minamita, is on CASA's board, as well as staff regularly attends forums and seminars. Our fee has not increased as compared to last year's fees. It's always been maintained at $26,000. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Commissioner Penning? Commissioner Penning has made a motion. I'll second it along with Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 17 so we can pay our dues. Thank you, Cecile. Agenda item.
President James, would you like to move that forward forthwith?
Yeah, any problem with forthwith? We'll move it forthwith.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 18, California. Wait one moment. Sorry, I've got a brief emergency here. Agenda item number 18, California Field Iron Workers Trust Funds transmitted a stop notice in the amount of $44,951.99 against United Steel Placers in connection with the Riverside Drive viaduct replacement over Los Angeles River project, the contractor's Flatiron West Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 18 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Number 19, Flatiron West Incorporated, Farmington Casualty Company, Pacific Indemnity Company, Colonial American Casualty and Surety Company, American Fire and Casualty Company, and Western Surety Company have transmitted a bond to release money withheld on a stop notice filed by Adkinson Engineers, doing business as AdCan Engineers, in connection with the Riverside Drive viaduct replacement over Los Angeles River project. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 19 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Mr. Executive Officer, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we have are adjourned with the exception of the Bureau Heads meeting, which takes place now in the conference room. Thank you, everyone.